Well, we're at the end of the 2017 season where our Lena Winslow Panthers hung on to win the Class 1A state championship over Tuscola 21-20. And Shane, what a game that was. I mean, you really look at the breakdown of the game and how it transpired. I mean, Lena Winslow was drilling Tuscola at the half up 21-7, outgaining them in yardage, 267 yards to 95 yards. And realistically, in the first half, Lena Winslow only ran 20 plays on offense.
Yeah, not a lot of plays to run, but you look at the plays they did, they had that score with Bruce, who pretty much eluded everybody and took the house on big passing plays, and then Mr. Valentine had a nice run in his zone. But yeah, and then on the other end of the ball, Tuscola had great position to start the game and really let themselves out of the game, so to speak. I mean, it was a 21-20 game, but if Tuscola actually would have executed on a bunch of plays that they probably should have, we might be sitting here talking about a second place finish, but luckily we're not. I just think back, Lena Winslow was a team that didn't turn the ball over all year in the first quarter. I mean, Tuscola was right there knocking on the door how many times, and Panther defense held.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real surprise that in that time frame, they only came up with the one score when realistically they should have.
It could have been
tacked on
two
scores at least.
Right,
Yeah.
and then they had. I don't remember. This is the second quarter where the kid was wide open and also dropped the ball.
Yes.
So I mean.
And that was after they were already down 21-7 after Ravion put up that big 76-yard touchdown run, and then Ormiston ripped off that 50-yarder to set up Rob's 22-yarder on the very next play. And then, it was Hayden Cothran taking a Sluter pass down the right sideline and fingers tipped it. And I know.
We stand up in the press box because, it's like, oh, man. Because it was Valentine who fell down, wasn't it?
I think so.
And it was like, oh, no. And then I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Misfortune for Tuscola.
Yeah, you generally don't see that in such a big game like that. Especially for a passing team, your wide receivers' hands are like gold. Maybe the moment got too big. Yeah, it's really no different than in baseball. Like Taylor-made double play gets bobbled or something similar like that. So.
Right. So in the second half, though, the second half really belonged to Tuscola as they came out storming. I mean, Lena Winslow got the ball, and in our halftime show, we had stated that, Lena Winslow getting the ball, if they get a drive put together and score here, it's over, lights out. But that wasn't the case, as they got a big first down catch by Isaiah Bruce that was negated by a penalty, which set up a 3rd and 13 that Lena Winslow couldn't recover from, and then were eventually forced to punt, and then Tuscola took over. But you look at their average starting drive in the third quarter, and their drive started at the Lena Winslow 34 that set up both Tuscola touchdowns there.
Well, and that's just it. You're starting at 34 of your opponent. You might as well give them the points, especially in a game like this and against a team like this. It's a little different than driving 80 yards. But that's also something that, if I'm not mistaken, something that helped Tuscola was the fact that their kicker kept them in the game as well.
Yes.
What was it? It was three straight touchbacks there.
Oh, yes.
Where Lena Winslow started at the 20. That's hard to do in high school football, getting the ball at the 20. You see all year long where the drives are starting in, the 40, 45, sometimes even in your opponent's territory. This isn't the NFL, especially in 1A where you expect big plays like that. You don't expect big plays like that, especially against good defenses. So driving 80 yards is also hard. So, Tuscola kept themselves in the ball game by good field position and also by their good kicking game. They just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, they did a lot of great things. Obviously, they're in the second half. If you really look at it, they outgained Lena Winslow 134 yards to 52 yards in the second half. So their defense really tightened down, while realistically, Lena Winslow's pretty much held the same as what they only gave up a few more yards in the second half, probably around 40. I think it was 39 yards more than what they did in the first half, but that was critical. It made for a really good game, and obviously it all came down to that missed PAT attempt by Tuscola on their last touchdown that they scored.
Right, and I guess I should have found a replay. I mean, I've yet to figure out what exactly that was, whether it was, a bad snap or a bad snap intentional. I mean, generally you don't see kids streaking to the end zone right away. Obviously, you'd streak to the end zone once you see the snap's bad, but when you're headed there right away, it leads you to believe that it might have been a set play. I mean, I never did get an answer on that.
Well, and that's true. I mean,
I'd like to think not.
I think it was a bad snap. I just think that Dalton Hull had the right instinct right from the get-go, knowing it was going to be bad, and probably yelled fire right off the bat, which allowed the lineman to release, making it look like it was a set play. And that just goes to the execution of Tuscola. But how about Ty Crispin for reading that play and making that big stop at that moment? I mean, that's something that's very hard to practice against, and even Coach Aaron said that in his press conference. That's just something that you don't practice against very often, and he made an excellent play on that.
I mean, it was a game-saving play. I mean, and when that happened, you kind of wondered if that was going to come back to go against. I mean, at that point for me, it was about whether Tuscola would score again, because at that point, what Lena Winslow had showed to that point, I wasn't sure that they were going to find the end zone again, and I mean, obviously they didn't. But just to touch back a little bit what you said earlier on their numbers in the second half, I mean, Lena Winslow pretty much put up a second half performance the same as they did against Forest in the week before, and was lucky enough to come out with a victory.
Yes, very much so. I mean, that game very much, to me, replicated what they had done the week before. Come out on fire in the first half, and then in the second half, sit back and hold on for dear life.
Well, I mean, and you can see the line play in the first quarter. I mean, Lena Winslow's dominated, and it also helps sit next to the coaching booth at Tuscola. And I mean, you could hear that Lena Winslow was dominating the line play. But as the game wore on, we kind of saw that switch tides a little bit, and then in the second half, it was more Tuscola, and I mean, what a player in Hunter Woodard.
Well, I know. I mean, that guy was all over the place. I mean, he really proved to me why he is a D1 athlete. I mean, his speed was phenomenal for being that size, that big.
I've never seen that ever.
His pursuit angles even. I mean, how often do you see a D lineman with that kind of pursuit angles? And then even on the offensive side, I mean, there were a couple times where Isaiah Bruce actually beat him off edge and got his hands up and got them big paws blocking passes. But, I mean, his overall line play was superior, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. We've had a little interaction with people since the game, and it's who want to talk down about him, but I mean, he was everything advertised and then some. I mean, to me, the film we watched on him, because we talked about this all week, it was like, you could see areas where you could beat him, and don't get me wrong, on the offensive line where he's going to be playing, he could use a little work with his footwork and, his technique, but I mean, coaching in college will take care of that. I mean, I'm not worried about that, but I mean, what are these people looking at? I'm not going to go off here. I'll keep it casual. But it's like, evidently they were watching a different game because, I mean, he was an absolute stud.
Yes. I mean, and like you said, the footwork, really the only footwork I think he needs to work on is his pass protection.
Exactly.
Because once he got his second step in, he was locked in.
Forget it, yeah.
But it was just that first step. I mean, like you said, college coaching is going to take care of that.
Right, exactly.
So, man, yes, heck of a player. Another player that we both mentioned that I think we were both impressed with was the fullback middle linebacker, Andrew Erickson. I mean,
they didn't go to him enough.
No, exactly, and that seems to be a focal point that a lot of Tuscola people have even said, why are they trying to run Sluter up the middle so many times when you have Erickson averaging almost 7 yards a carry?
And we saw how many times Lena Winslow was trying to tackle high, and I mean, he kept going. We said, the only way to get him down one-on-one was to go low. I mean, he was moving the chain, and then there would have been a great time towards the end of the game when Tuscola was driving to use him on that 4th and 1, which we have to talk about this.
Yes, go ahead.
A debacle. I mean, Coach Romine's obviously done a great job at Tuscola, don't get me wrong, but 4th and 1. What was there, like 11 seconds left when that first started? Not to mention the part where the officials didn't start the clock, whatever that was about.
I think it was like 17 seconds or 15 seconds, something like that.
But I mean, you could feel it. You know, we're standing on the sidelines and it's helter skelter. And I don't know whether the coaching staff didn't realize it was 4th down or someone miscommunicated and not knowing how many timeouts up there. But it's 4th and 1. Kids are running around crazy. The atmosphere is insane. You gotta take that timeout. I mean, what are you saving it for?
Right.
And then to call that play, that would have been a good time for either Sluter to take it up the middle or Erickson. I mean, it wasn't even a yard.
No.
It was like, what, probably 6 inches?
Probably.
And, you know, he saved the timeout and they lost the game.
They threw a pass play that Ravion broke up.
You've got to call a timeout there and get composure of your team.
Oh, I think
so.
You have a kicker that can kick the ball.
Granted, they were 10 yards out of that.
Yes.
Maybe.
You had to move in a little bit closer because where they were at their Lena Winslow 29-yard line. So that was a 46-yard field goal. And Creston's long on the season was 45 yards. Now, you're talking about 46 yards going into a pretty stiff 10-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah.
So there was no way he is going to make that.
Another 10 yards at least, probably.
Yes. You got to get closer. And like you said, I mean, when you got that timeout available, use it.
Because, I mean, you pick up the first time, and this is where the running play, I mean, don't try to get the first on the pass because, say you complete it, I mean, yeah, the chains have to reset, but if you're downfield, you know, the clock's going to start up again, but you run and get the first, and you spike it there. I mean, you're still available for a couple more plays. But not to mention that the receiver also dropped the ball in the end zone, too, that would have won the game for him.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep talking about all these opportunities that Tuscola really missed, and Lena Winslow was able to capitalize on.
Well, and then you can look at the same aspects. I mean, I saw one interception by Lena Winslow that was called a pass interference, and I don't even know where that pass interference was. I mean, I saw the ball come out, it got tipped, and the kid got hit.
As soon as the ball's tipped, it's game on.
Right.
You can tackle him if you want.
Even if he's not the one who touched the ball. So I'm not sure what the ref saw there because I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the replay.
No.
And I don't know what was called there, but that also helped lead to Tuscola's first touchdown of the game.
And then also, you know, a missed opportunity. Lena Winslow had, you know, Christensen was running down the sideline and had an opening. Obviously you take that anytime you get, but, you know, Bruce is wide open and running back. You know, running right down the middle of the field, actually, I believe is where it was.
Yep.
And that play came back to be on a holding call. So, both teams had mistakes. Both teams obviously had a chance to add more points as well, but, you know, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's another state championship, so.
And, man, what a game it was. And speaking of, I mean, Dalton Hull really proved to be why he was an all-stater, why he was a 4-year starter. I mean, despite his diminished size, I mean, he was really a stud. Very fast.
Yeah.
Very great hands. I mean, very seldom did you see him miss a pass that was thrown where he could catch it.
Right, and, you know, we're sitting there watching these kids come out of the field, and it's like, oh, my goodness, you know. Don't take this wrong, but even when you're taller than their star receiver, the kid's small.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we'll see, you know, maybe we can figure out, you know, he's had a good season on lesser teams, whatever. But no, he was everybody's good to advertise as well. And I mean, like we said all week long and all year long, this was a different Tuscola team that the conference has seen in the past. I mean, this was a 2A team that was ranked towards the top of 2A all year long. And then obviously the enrollment allowed them into 1A, which made for a great championship game.
So another guy that I was really impressed with and one that we had highlighted even in our preview video before the start of the game was that Braden Vaughn Lincoln, number 55 for Tuscola.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid was a beast, and to think he's only a junior, I mean, I'm not sure, but between him and Isaiah Keel, man, that could be one heck of a duel between those two.
Right. I mean, we mentioned this as well, that he might be the best that they had. And, you know, I was impressed for sure. I don't know, you know, I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, all around, both teams, just a lot of impressive playmakers.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the lines were every bit as good as advertised. The playmakers were every bit as advertised. And it came down to a few plays here and there, which is ultimately what you could not ask any more of. I mean,
In a state championship?
Exactly. It was great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that game was phenomenal.
Right.
I mean, talk about having a true state championship game. And
Right.
that's exactly what we had asked for last week in our
Right.
in our preview video.
Well, and even to touch a little more on that in the broader scene, I mean, this weekend was all around great. I mean, you had a couple, I think there was maybe 2 games that you'd want to consider blowout, and one of those was only 6-0 at halftime. I mean, it was a great weekend of state championship games, which is what you ask for and what you very rarely see.
Right.
So, I mean, great.
I know. So, looking at some of the interesting stats here, Tuscola had 71 offensive plays to Lena Winslow's 44 offensive plays. So really, Lena Winslow basically just doubled up their first half plays into the second half, as did Tuscola, creating that large difference. But really, the time of possession only favored Tuscola by 3 minutes, as they had the ball for 25 minutes and some change to Lena Winslow's 22 minutes and some change.
Right, which is, I mean, pretty common to see in the different offensive styles that they run. I mean, Tuscola, the clock's going to stop more on incompletions, where Lena Winslow likes to keep the ball moving, keep the clock moving. I mean, that's what they try to do, and it's ultimately what happened. So that's why you generally don't see a huge difference in time of possession, even though, you know, Tuscola had, 27 more plays than Lena Winslow did.
Right. So, and then the final thing really was Lena Winslow's average starting drive began at their own 31-yard line, where Tuscola's for the game began at their own 41-yard line. So there again, that goes back to what you said as far as the special teams play with their kicker being able to do the things that he did, pinning Lena Winslow deep. I mean, and no discredit to Parker McGee. I mean, heck, he averaged like 36 yards a punt, and some of those punts were going into the wind.
Well, and his extra point won the game. I mean, you know. But yeah, you know, you think that if you can have your opponent start at the 31 every drive, you'd be sitting in pretty good position as far as Tuscola wants to do there. And, you know, Lena Winslow, I mean, still a 41 isn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, especially when you see some of these kicks that these teams put up around here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of teams starting at
the
50, that 40-yard line mark because of...
Well, and I mean, that goes to say that, I mean, you generally, if you're going to, I mean, me personally, I mean, look at the top teams in our conference. Do you want to kick that to them? I mean, you want to make sure it's either going to go to the end zone or you're going to put them at the 40 or 35 out of bounds.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to kick to AJ Christensen. I don't want to kick to Valentine. I mean, can you blame them?
No, you can't, because they're going to do things that you don't want to give up.
Right.
So, Lena Winslow becomes the 19th state championship in NUIC history, grabbing their third title to put them in a tie with Galena, Dakota, and Aquin at the top of the NUIC list.
Good company.
So, we'll see whose turn it is in 2018. But let's go on and just grab a few of the highlights from the remainder of the season and get out recap the 2A game for a minute as well. So, all right, so some of our highlights. Obviously, we had 4 kids that made the News Gazette Special Mention 100, which is a pretty big list because they go through and they list out their first team throughout the entire state, and then they give out the 100 players across the state, across all 8 classes. This is what they feel is
bigger than all state.
It is bigger than all state because it's not political by any stretch of the imagination. And those guys were Austin Guy of Orangeville, Ravion Valentine of Lena Winslow, AJ Christensen of Forreston, and Carter Drake of Dakota. Being Carter Drake's the only one that will be returning, as the previous 3 guys were all seniors. So, and actually, this is AJ's second time on this list, as he made this list last year as a junior as well.
Right.
So,
pretty impressive. I mean,
Very impressive.
there's only so much to talk about, but when you take away the classes, I mean, ultimately, I mean, there's some people that wish you could do that as far as the games are concerned, which is stupid, but from a personal, individual level, I mean, this is as good as it gets.
It does.
Other than, I mean, all-American, but, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to be All-American when you're playing in 1A ball.
Exactly.
How many people are watching it,
Well, right.
As far as the All-State team, we did have 5 members. On the 1A list was A.J. Christensen for the second time in a row. Ravion Valentine for the second year in a row. Ian Keel got on there as a junior this year. Maverick McPeak made the first team. And then in Class 2A, West Carroll's Devin Murray, as he put up tremendous numbers at linebacker this year for the Thunder.
Oh, yeah. That was a no-brainer to me. I think McPeak, we got, honorable mention last year, too.
Yep.
So, other than Ian Keel, I mean, pretty familiar faces walking on the sideline again this year to get their plaque.
Yeah, it was. A lot of very good talent in the conference.
Right. And it's always nice when you don't receive your plaque because you're playing in the game. So
right.
That's always the best part.
And that's what Ian and Ravion got to do this year, just like AJ did last year and Noah Geip as well. So a lot of fun. So, Shane, we had a lot of good highlights, record-breaking careers that came to an end. And, of course, one of those is Ravion Valentine of Lena Winslow, as he sets a new NUIC record and Lena Winslow rushing record with 4,629 yards and 56 touchdowns in his career, all while on 455 carries. So that's 10.2 yards a carry average he had in his career.
Pretty impressive, and even more so considering he missed how many games due to injury over the years. But, yeah. What else can you say? I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, just amazing. Add in A.J. Christensen, who also broke the 3,000-yard mark this year, and had he had more carries, he'd be right up there as well. 3,308 yards sets a Forreston School record on 341 carries and 46 touchdowns.
Right, and there again, you're talking about more carries. I mean, Christensen's numbers would have matched Valentine's, if not even more, had he had as many carries probably. And that's pretty impressive because I don't believe Christensen carried the ball at the varsity level as a freshman, unless I'm mistaken.
No, he did not.
So, and also, I mean, you're looking at his carries this year. I mean,
he only had 107,
which is about half of what Mr. Valentine had. I mean, not to compare him, but I mean, just to get a little glimpse into how special these two kids are, and the respect level they have for each other as well.
Oh yeah, when they played each other in the semifinals, coming off the field, going through the handshake line, both of them meeting up, giving each other a quick hug and, best of luck. And very, very special players indeed for both of them. Passing-wise, Jonah Deemer from Ackwen finishes his career with 4,446 yards passing and 64 touchdowns, which I believe those are both Ackwen school records. And the 4,446 yards might even be a new conference mark. I don't have that for sure, but I don't recall a quarterback throwing that many yards in recent memory.
Yeah, that's a lot of passing yards. Sitting here trying to think who might be close to that. Ackwen's had a couple of good quarterbacks for the years, and obviously back when EPC used to pass the ball a lot as well with Kniss. But obviously, that's something we can look into in the off season when we get even more numbers.
Right.
So.
Another good one is Zach Cummins. Finishes his career with 1,584 receiving yards, which I believe that's an Ackwen school record, along with 24 touchdowns, which I believe is also a new Ackwen school record. And then Bryce Carlson finishes his career with 1,441 receiving yards, with 109 receptions for his career, which I believe the receptions is also a new school record. So pretty impressive stats put up by these individuals through their careers.
Right. a lot of good players this year. I mean, really, what else? What else is there really to look at? I mean, the top teams in each side of the conference had the best players. That's why they were there.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not there. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And the longevity of it.
Right. And that's what makes it a lot of fun. I mean, you even look at some of our other players like Gavin Fox and Peyton Ashe, who both received honorable mention All-State as well, so we can't even keep them out. And Gavin Fox was one of those players too, man.
Right.
He was lights out as well. Loved to hit. You know, was a unanimous all-conference selection for DB, the only one that was unanimous. So
right.
That's pretty impressive nonetheless as well.
Well, and then, you know, we touched on this earlier in there. You're also talking about another kid in the Forest in Jersey that had he kept running the ball would have
been close to 3,000 yards and Matt Aikens.
Exactly. So, I mean, there you go. Another player on another good team. I mean, you like to see this year in year out, and every time you think that record's going to stand a little bit, it gets broke, which is great, though.
You know, that's why they say records are made to be broken.
I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but we talked about it, you know, in that 2011 championship game when Apple set the record of rushing for all the 8A classes. You're like, oh, wow. You know, this is going to last. And it lasted all of 24 hours before, you know, what was his name?
Ty Isaac.
From Joliet Catholic.
Currently plays for Michigan.
Yeah. Decided, no, Mr. Apple, you stick with 1A and I'll handle the rest.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, records are meant to be broke.
Yep, that's very true. So, one of the biggest highlights of the year, Coach Aaron of Lena Winslow started off the year being inducted into the Hall of Fame back in April. Goes 14-0 on the year to collect win number 179, moving him into third place on the NUIC all-time wins list with head coach Jerry Lano. Also matching Coach Lano's number of state championship trophies. And now Coach Aaron sits with a 179 and 61 mark on his resume.
Man, what a bad year. No, congratulations, though. I mean, good coach, knows how to win.
Yeah, I mean, he's an excellent coach, and I was looking it up here, and since 2010, when Lena Winslow won their first state title, they are now 45-6 in home games at Lena.
I believe it.
That's a 88.2% winning percentage.
Home cooking. It's hard to win there.
So, yes, congratulations, Coach Aaron. That is one heck of a record, and you know we continue. Hope you keep going. It's a lot of fun covering you.
Right. Conference needs good coaches.
Yes,
it's what builds it.
And we've said it before. You're one of the best, in my opinion. You are the best, and your record speaks for itself. So, but how about the overall season? I mean, we had 9 teams in the playoffs. I can't even remember the last time we had 9 teams in the playoffs.
It's been a long time. Like I said, it's been a long time, and not only that, but what made it even better is there wasn't one single NUIC matchup in the first round. You literally could have sent all of them to the second round. I mean, obviously that didn't happen, but not only did you get the most teams there, but you had the best bracket set up. Not only that, we had Lena Winslow and Forest on opposite sides, which we knew was going to happen. Built it up, and it was every bit advertised. Looked at the South to be exactly what we thought it'd be. I mean, the top 4 teams in 1A were all there when it mattered. I mean, you couldn't have beat it. I mean, it was a great year.
It was excellent year, and you can even say the same for 2A. I mean, North and South, both of those games going into the state championship game really proved to be, I mean, the only one you could otherwise consider would be Tri-Valley, but Shelbyville kind of took care of that, and they proved their mettle in a good game, despite the loss to Maroa Forsyth in the semis.
Right, which is exactly what I've had figured. I mean, you know, talking about back-to-back 2A bracketologist champion. Just to throw that out there. No, but 2A was exactly, I mean, great. I mean, yeah, just a couple, you know, Tri-Valley a couple picks there, and 2A played exactly how we thought it would as well.
Right.
I mean, this never happens.
It doesn't. And what a game that 2A game was. Speaking of it, I mean, GCMS comes out on top, 38-32. Maroa Forsyth was up 19-15 at half. They come out in the third quarter, extended their lead to 26-15 early there in the third quarter. But then a Mitch McNutt run for a touchdown halfway through the third quarter cut the lead to 26-23 in favor of Maroa Forsyth. And then at the start of the fourth, an impressive run by Brooke Schmidt gave GCMS the lead 30-26. Just to watch Maroa Forsyth respond on an error into 52-yard end around for a touchdown to regain that lead 32-30. And then with 1:08 remaining in the game, Nathan Gerard connects with Bryce Barnes on a beautiful touchdown catch. I don't even know how Gerard got the pass through two defenders into Barnes' hands.
The catch was insane.
My gosh.
It was one of these, like,
yeah, it was a
everybody on the sideline just like, oh my God. You know?
I mean, it was one of those extend fingertips.
Right.
Pull in, two guys collapse on you.
Right. And, you know, it was one of those games where you felt like whoever had the ball last was going to win. I mean, Maroa finished with the ball, don't get me wrong. But it was basically what it came down to. I mean, a minute left, it's hard to score, let's be honest. But, you know, as someone who didn't have a rooting interest in the game, one of the I'll be different than you, I'm sure. One of the highlights for me of the game was to see if GCMS's kicker was going to take the damn ball out of the stadium.
I know. Yes.
Like, holy Moses.
Ben Freehill.
If he played on Tuscola, he might have been able to kick that ball.
Oh, my
Holy
gosh.
cow.
I mean, just watching Freehill kick off from the 40 and literally play. I mean, I was hoping one was going through the goalpost, but the one kept pushing them to the left. But man, that extra point they almost put on the roof of the Jordan Center.
It hit the top glass panel. I was like, oh man,
wow.
Well, and that was. I mean, obviously, I understand why GCMS went for 2 on that last score because you want to make it a 6-point game. But I was really hoping they'd try them out there. I think I remember saying to you, I was like, this one's going on the roof.
Yep, you did.
And it's like 2 points. I was like, damn it.
So, congratulations, GCMS. You got the 2A title, your first in history. Coach Mike Allen, it was a pleasure meeting you as well in the press conference. Don't worry, your boys never give us any trouble. It was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like we said, it was a great game. Congratulations to you and the Falcons. Man, awesome. Just hats off to you. All right, so just to recap a few things on our success here at NUIC football. We kept collective history of what our general picks were going to be for the year so we could have a running record of where we finished. So in the regular season, me and Shane both tied, ironically, with 72-9 records. And then throughout the course of the playoffs, obviously, we continued to pick games. And collectively, our overall record was 244-42 for an overall percentage of 85.3% accuracy. So that was quite a feat as we kept, obviously.
I'm surprised we tied.
I know.
There was a lot of games where we did not agree on things. But it evened out, I guess.
But, man, it was a lot of fun. I was really impressed with that number. Now we got a goal to go and reach for next year.
90 would be good.
Yes.
But you'll always have that 10% rearing its head at you on certain games. So you're never going to be perfect. We don't want to be perfect, though, because, I mean, you want to be perfect, but yet it's impossible because, I mean, we're talking about 16, 17-year-old high school boys who some nights they show up and some they don't. I mean, it's easy to sit here and pick a team off paper, but until you go see them on the field, I mean, and what they do, it's pretty difficult. So I'm happy with that. And it isn't to toot our own horns. It's so we bring the best coverage we can and provide the best information and best opinions that we can to our followers.
Yes, I agree. Obviously, we don't pick teams just to make ourselves look like beeps, but We do pick the games because that's what we enjoy. We know that's what you enjoy. Because
I mean, I love the heckling, to be honest.
yes, we get heckled all the
It's like,
time.
all right, I'm gonna go home and get on Facebook tonight and see what we can cook up here.
But how many times have we heard? That's really pushed our team.
Oh, the championship games.
Yes.
GCMS, who we just talked about. My kids come in the classroom and watch your video, and then they print out stuff you say and post it all over the walls. And if that isn't bulletin board material, I don't know what is.
Right. So I mean, we do. We really enjoy it. We enjoy your viewership of it because obviously without you guys, we can't do what we do.
Exactly.
And speaking of that, last year we ended the year last year with 1,586 followers. And this year we continue to grow as we are now at, well, actually now over from the last time I took the stat, but we were at 2,870 followers as of the end of yesterday. So,
just more people that we can get the word out to, which is great. If you know somebody that likes high school football, bring them on down. We'd love to have them.
yes, and I mean, if you're in the conference, not in the conference.
I don't care if you're in the conference or not. Some of our best arguments are with people that aren't in the conference or don't have a clue about the teams.
Right. But yeah, follow us, NUICfootball.com on our website, at NUIC Football on Twitter, and then, of course, NUIC Football Fanatics on Facebook. So if you see it, follow it. I mean, we'll allow you in. So
you might not stay long, but we'll allow you in.
But no, we really do enjoy this. We like to create a great environment with debate, obviously, because without the debate, it can get kind of boring.
Right, it'd be boring if we were all the same. So,
you got a number there for us?
Yeah, 1,742 miles traveled between all the coverage of games, which I believe is right around last year, somewhere in there, which is great for us because, we're starting to take in broader range of games than what we were able to do last year, and a big help for that came from Skylar Boyer, able to cover games out west that we normally wouldn't be able to get to, and that is also good considering we didn't have the mileage trip to Champaign as well. So,
yes, pretty impressive, obviously.
And like you said, we've now covered everybody but just a couple schools, which is great because, it's hard to get it to every school when you only have a couple people covering games, but I can guarantee after next year we'll have everybody covered.
Yes. All right. So with that said, we'd like to thank everybody that has followed us. Personal thank you goes to Carrie Kampmeyer for putting up with us.
For sure.
She does all of our videography, our photography, our graphics, our designs. Everything that makes our stuff run is what she does. And
makes us look good.
Yeah, I mean, without her, none of this is possible, so definitely got to give her a big shout-out for that. Would like to thank all the athletic directors in the conference that allow us passes to get us the opportunity to provide stats, coverage, and give you the most complete coverage out of any team in the area.
Right, and, even a little further, coaches as well. We've been in contact with a lot of coaches getting interviews and questions answered for our playoff previews, and, that's something we talked about going into next year that we might expand a little bit more on now that we're more comfortable doing so and have built the relationships. You can't just jump into it and expect a bunch of stuff. It's a process, and you got to build it up, so I'm very pleased with that, and everybody's been real great with us. Haven't ran into any problems, so we appreciate all the support that we get from everybody on the school level as well. It's a lot of the game report interview stuff is not even close to possible without cooperation of coaches.
Correct.
That's huge.
It is, and those coaches, Coach Troy Barr, Coach Jesse Snyder, Coach Denny Deddick, Coach Rick Arend,
Coach Free at Dakota as well.
Yep, Coach Joe Free at Dakota.
Yeah. So, just thank you. Wouldn't be possible to get all that without you. And even talking off the record, just talking great football with all these guys is awesome as well. I mean, you know, how many people don't we talk to on a daily basis almost that, you know, it goes beyond the football field, you build a friendship with as well.
Right,
So,
and I mean that goes to like Coach Willie Guy and Jay Doyle at Orangeville,
right.
Coach Doug Nicholas and Josh Reese
Exactly.
at River Ridge. Even to the athletic director in Galena, Brett Noble, for providing us the all-conference list even,
for sure.
along with Willie Guy at Orangeville. So we really appreciate that.
Right.
And then even Barron.
Jackson.
So,
right, and the best thing is, I mean, you can talk a lot of crap about these schools and give your honest opinion, and people still like you at the end of the day. You know, which is always something, you know, you kind of worry about. But no, just great people to be around. And now I'm acting like you throw my pen, have a pen here. But no, just you meet a lot of nice people, and not to mention all the fans that we met. You know, we joke about it. You wake up in the morning, you got 6 private messages on Facebook, 4 of which are good and 2 are like, eh. But, you know, you like that interaction with people because, you know, at the end of the day, it's about the relationships you build within the game. So
it is. And like you said, I mean, the good and the bad all come together as one.
Right.
If we weren't getting those kind of reports, obviously
I mean, if
we're not being paid attention
like
to.
I said, if you think I suck terribly, please tell me. You know, I'd love to hear it. So, I mean, it's important.
So, that's our end of season recap. 2017 is in the books. We will keep all the kids that are coming back updated with camp information throughout the year. I promise I will not blow up the page this year during the off season. I apologize for that earlier this year, but I didn't have a general idea of how to get all the information out there, and I know a lot of people took it.
Right.
So we're going to keep it more controlled this year through our website, and then we'll post it to the page so it's just one post rather than several.
Right. And obviously Twitter is something completely different than Facebook as well. Twitter is more rapid, you know. As soon as we get it, you'll get it. It's a different following base. I mean, that's how coaches and camps are really setting these things out nowadays, is more along the lines of Twitter rather than Facebook. So
right. So obviously keep a track of our Twitter handle, again, at NUIC Football. We do a lot of off-season interaction there, updating with camps, players to watch, things like that. With that said, to all the seniors that are graduating, it's been an honor and an absolute joy watching you all play the last 4 years. I think we both agree we wish you the best of luck. And if you are going on to play ball at the next level, please let us know. We like to keep updated with what's going on with former NUIC players as well, as does the rest of the area. They like to know how you guys are doing in your future endeavors. So if you are planning on going to play ball, keep us updated. If you're not, we still wish you the best of luck in the future. And like I said, it's been an absolute joy and pleasure watching you guys play. So, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed everything on the head to say there. So, like Kyle says, just great watching good football from, I mean, not only the seniors, but everybody this year. Just looking forward to next year as well. Really, that's about it.
We're going to go back to Champaign. So whose turn is it in 2018? As always, root for the NUIC.